Okay, so today we are going to look at functions in Unit 8. So for this lessons of function, we have asking and giving advice and responding to advice. Okay, so some expressions of asking for advice we have, what should I do? Could you please give me? Okay, could you please give me a piece of advice? A piece of advice. So all of these are questions when you ask your friend, your father, your sister, brother, etc. about an advice. So this is how you ask for it. Okay. So then we have, what do you advise me? Do you advise me? Advise me to do? What do you think I should do? I should do. Any advice? What do you recommend? What's your advice? Also, we can use it. So all of these are questions, and there are others more than this. In giving an answer, we can say, if I were you, I'd, which means I would, I'd see, for example, a dentist. I advise you, and pay attention to the verb advise. I advise you to revise your lessons. It's advisable to prepare for the final exam. It's best to work in a group. Also, we can say, what about? Doing more exercises. So, what about? It's all the time plus gerund. More exercises. You would better do a lot of exercises. Okay, so now for responding to this advice, So you ask for an advice, you give an advice, and then we have responding to an advice. When someone give you an advice, what do you say after that? So we have the following ideas. We can say, that's good idea. That's good idea, thanks. We can also say thank you or thanks for the advice. You can also say thank you, I have already tried it. Thank you, I have already tried that. That's all. Okay, so for this we have some exercises. You have some exercises in your student book, exercise C, page 107. Please do this exercise and ask me if you have any problem. And here are some other exercises. Complete the exchange with, of course, expressions of advice. So we have here A and B. We have here a question and we have in the answer, if I were you, I would go on a diet and exercise regularly. Okay, so go on a diet, which means that your friend which means that the person who is asking for advice has a problem of weight. He or she is fat. So what would be the question? So we can have here, what do you advise me to lose weight? Okay. What do advise me to do to lose weight, not weight? Okay, this is an example. So now
كيبان في الفيديو ماما دابا كديري لي واحد الاكسترا شغل عرفتي شنو هو انه انا داك الفيديو.
So look at number 2. You would better take a holiday. Okay, so this is the answer. So in the question we can say, I am very tired. What do you advise? Or I feel stressed these days. Any advice? Now look at number 3. Why don't you send her some flower? So in the question we can say, what do you advise me to give Laura for her birthday? And then we have, my parents want me to go to law school, but I am not interested in art. What should I do? Okay, so you would better convince your parents that this major doesn't interest you. 5. I got a bad mark in maths and that's killing me. What do you advise me to do? I advise you to do more exercises. If I were you, I would have extra hours in maths. A group of girls troll me on Facebook. I don't know what to do. I advise you. So look here, exercise B. Read situation, then write. You suffer insomnia and you haven't been able to sleep for 3 successive nights. Ask for advice. What should I do? I can't sleep at night. You would better have a rest. respond negatively to the advice. Thank you, but I have already tried this. You had an argument with your teacher and now you don't know what to do. Ask for an advice. What should I do? Have you tried to speak to your teacher another time in a more polite way? You had better to speak to your teacher politely another time. And that's all for the exercises. And now we are going to look at our lesson of grammar. Our lesson of grammar, we are having relative clauses. Relative clauses. So, concerning relative clauses, there are two types of relative clauses which concern you as a second year baccalaureate science. Okay, so we have defining relative clauses, or we can say restrictive relative clauses. And when we speak about defining and restrictive relative clauses, it means it gives you important information about the noun. Okay, so in the sentence we don't put commas. When we speak about defining relative clauses, another name for it is non-restrictive relative clauses, which means this information is additional. It is not necessary to the sentence. It doesn't define, it doesn't give any defining information to the sentence, and so we put it between two commas. Okay, so for relative pronouns are who, which, that, whose, and whom. Okay, so and you have some exercises in your student book on page 109, 110. Let's look at these exercises in your student book. So here in this exercise we are going to decide whether the clause. This exercise we are to decide whether the relative clause here is defining or non-defining, is restrictive or non-restrictive. Our government had decided to give a chance to highly skilled people who returned. So this is the clause. Who returned to the country to exploit their potential. Okay, so this is a defining relative clause. First, there is no commas. Okay. Second, it gives us an information to give a chance. Our government give a chance to who? To highly skilled people who returned to the country to exploit their potential. Highly skilled people who returned. So it defines which people the government is going to give a chance to. Then number two, Mustafa, who owns a renowned restaurant in Washington, D.C., expresses his willingness to invest a considerable amount of money in the country. Okay, so the clause starts here. So pay attention to the comma. Pay attention to this comma. The second one, where is it? Who owns here? This is the second one. So it is non-defining. Okay, it doesn't define to us. The building which caught fire in Paris last night was inhabited by a large number of elderly people, which, so the sentence, the clause, a relative clause starts here, which caught fire in the last night was inhabited by a large number of elderly people. So there is no comma. So it defines to us the building. Okay, so it is defining. Students who have got their French visa will be able to study in France in adequate conditions. Okay, so it starts here, the clause is here. So there is no commas, so it is defining student. Who are these students who have got their French visa? Who have got their French visa will be able to study in French, not any students. So it is defining. And there is no commas. Dris Schreibe, okay, look, we have a comma. This is the clause. Who was considered the father of modern Moroccan novel is the author of The Simple Past. Okay, so we have the clause. It starts here, it finishes here, it is between two commas, so it is non-defining. Okay, now for exercise D, read the grammatical summary and decide whether the following relative clauses can be omitted or not. So let's look at this grammatical summary, and we are going to read it. I am going to read it with you. Use it. Okay, so this is the grammatical summary. So we have restrictive relative clause. We have subject, objects, and possessive. Okay, so when we are speaking about subject, we have who or that. When the noun is an object, we have who or whom or that, or sometimes we don't have any when it is a person, of course. And when we have an object, we put, what does it mean, subject or object? It means the function, the grammatical function of the word in the sentence. Okay, for example, I saw a man. Okay, I saw a man. So here, a man is an object in the sentence. Okay, the man was a teacher in our school. I saw a man who was a teacher in our school, or that was a teacher in our school. We can use that. Okay, but who is more formal than that. So when we speak about subject object, it means the grammatical function of the word in a sentence. When we speak about a possessive, okay, possessive, we use the relative pronoun whose. I will give you an example. This is the woman, okay? The woman's son is studying with you. This is the woman whose. Why? Because we have the woman's, so S apostrophe. So this S apostrophe is the possessive S. So this is why we are to put whose. Now, when we speak about non-restrictive, we have the same relative pronouns and with the same explanation for subject, object, or possessive, okay? And the only difference is, as I say to you, it is in putting commas. So when we are using a non-restrictive relative clause, it is all the time between two commas. Okay, and that's all for your grammatical. Relative clause is part of a sentence that describes the person or thing we are talking about. A restrictive relative clause gives necessary information, as I had already explained to you, about who or what we are talking about. For example, the car which is in front of the house is mine. So, which is in front of the house, it defines, it gives you an important information about the car. So now non-restrictive gives additional information. Non-restrictive clauses are are separated by commas. Okay, so they give us additional information. We doesn't define the thing we are speaking about, or the person we are speaking about, or the place we are speaking about. Casablanca, which is the biggest city in Morocco, is the economical capital of Morocco. So, which is the biggest city in Morocco, it gives us an additional information. Okay. If the relative pronoun is followed by a noun or a pronoun, the relative pronoun is an object. Yes. Okay. If the relative pronoun is followed by a noun or a pronoun, okay, a noun or a pronoun, the relative pronoun is an object's pronoun. Object's pronoun can be omitted in defining relative clauses. Where is the car you bought last week? Okay, where is the car which you bought last week? So this object's pronoun can be omitted in defining relative clauses. So this is a defining a relative clause. Okay, and here we can read the sentence without this which, but in the exam you are asked to fill in the blanks or to link the two clauses using this, so you are to do it. Okay, where is the car you bought last week, as I said to you. And that's all for this relative clauses, but still we can have more exercises if you want. Let's have another exercise in this relative clause. Do we have it here? Look at this, and here is another exercise. Fill in the blanks in from A to E with corresponding restrictive or non-restrictive clause in from 1 to 5. Add commas where necessary. So we are going to fill in these blanks using the relative clauses written here from number 1 to number 5. So we have Philip Hemingway is from Nigeria. Okay, so we have which took place in now, who graduates, whose grades are the highest, who are right in English. Then Philip Hemingway, who write in English, is from Nigeria. Okay, African writers. Graduates whose grades are the highest will be given jobs with tempting salaries. Countries which are developed also suffer from brain drain. Philip Hemingway, who is known all over the USA, is from Nigeria. African writers who write in English settle down in England. So we have Hemingway, Philip Hemingway, who is well known. Okay, it is number 5. African writers who write, it is number 3. And graduates, the countries which are developed, is number 4. And graduates, it's number 2, whose grades are the highest. And we have the last one, which is here, which African conference, which took place in Illinois, USA in October 24th, etc. Focus on reversing brain drain into brain gain. So it's a good idea. Instead of having brain drain, we can give these people, these intellectuals, these talented people conditions, better conditions, and they will come back to their country of origin, and here we will have brain gain. Okay, and that's all for these exercises. And if you do any other exercises and you want me to correct it with you, you can just ask. Okay, so that's all for our grammar, and I am going to go to writing. So for writing we have cause and effect. So we are going to write about causes and effect. So in order to write about causes and effects, we have some linking words already done in the classroom, and I am going to remind you of these linking words. I will remind you of them. So let's look at some linking words of cause and effect. So here are some of the words expressing that you can use to express the reason behind something or why it has happened: because, since, as, because of, due to, owing to. Because, as, since plus subject plus verb. Look at the example. The weather was bad, the flight was cancelled. The flight was cancelled, comma. Pay attention to punctuation. Because, or since, or as, the weather was bad. Now, if we want to start with this expression, we can say because of the weather, because of the bad weather, okay, the flight was cancelled. Due to the fact that the weather is bad, the flight was cancelled, okay, or owing to, etc. So we can use all of this, either plus noun, plus gerund, or plus the fact that, and you finish the sentence. We have other expressions, but we shouldn't focus on this. Okay, so to express consequences, Fatima wants to learn how to read and write, so she decided to take up some adult literacy classes. Or instead of so, and look, pay attention to the punctuation. So here we have a full stop, so, comma, full stop, therefore, comma, full stop, as a consequence, comma, full stop, consequently, comma, okay, full stop, as a result, comma, full stop, that's why, there is no comma, okay. So Fatima learn how to read and write, therefore she decided to take up some adult literacy classes. Fatima wants to learn how to read and write, that's why she decided to take some adult literacy classes, and that's all. Okay, that's all. And you can go back to the exercises. These exercises we have already done them while in class. Okay, we have already done this. So just to remind you of these expressions, because each writing has specific linking words to use. So when we are writing an argumentative essay, we have linking words. When we are writing cause and effect, we have specific words, etc., linking words. So for each type of writing, we have types of linking words to be used. Okay, so now in your textbook you have in exercise A, you have causes and effects of brain drain. So go back to the section of vocabulary and you will have as many causes, as many effects as you can. And in the topic we have write a letter to the editor. Okay, suggesting some measures that may solve the problem or reduce its negative effects. Which problem? It is the problem of brain drain, which means, in another word, what do you suggest as solutions for brain drain? Okay, so since it is a letter to the editor, it is a formal letter. So it would be better to pay attention to the layouts. And this layout is on page 112, form of a formal letter. So we look here on the right, we start with sender address. Okay. Then we have the date. Then we have the recipient address or receiver address. Okay. And then you have formal salutation, dear editor. We don't see their friend, we don't see their Ahmed, their Khadija, etc. Editor. Okay. Then we have the body of the letter. Look at the body. It is organized. It is divided into 3 small parts. Okay. So in the first, you can say, I am interested in your article about, for example, as written here, about a road accident issue of your newspaper. I would like to share. This is a very important. I would like to share, or I would like to suggest, as we have in the topic, some solutions. And here you my story with the when I was only 8 years, my mother was severely injured in a car accident, etc. So here you speak about the story, what happens. Okay. And here in the last part of this body we have our sense of security on highway would increase greatly if we would like. So here this is a suggestion or a solution to reduce this problem of road accidents. And last and last one, we have signature. And don't sign your paper in the exam, please. Just write yours sincerely. Don't write the name like here, yours sincerely, and don't write your name. And that's all. So, we have finished this unit 8 and we will start the next unit another time.